That was fun. Hey, everybody. No, wait, I forgot. Damn it. Already, JL's like, you guys are fired. All of you, because Johnny failed. Look at that. Please don't fire me, JL. And if you do, dude, be gentle. Be gentle. What's going on, everybody? It is Wednesday, just a little bit after 7 p.m. Central Time. And that means it's time for another episode of the Weekend Horror Podcast, the only podcast that's coming from inside the house. Yikes. And if you're listening to us on your favorite podcast host, you can join us here for our live show on YouTube, so you too can laugh and scream with us, flex your horror knowledge in this live chat, and maybe even win some trivia prizes. You guys have a really good shot, seeing as how we have lassoed in Aaron Reece from the side chat, so he cannot win. This will be the second week in a row he has not participated, so you have a shot. This week, we're covering select films released in horror history, February 6th through February 12th. Thank you all so much for joining us. I'm Johnny O, and with me are not Eugene, actually Aaron and Alex. What's going on, guys?
Just trying not to break down on a my first full live stream.
The only way that we could get him to not win the trivia this week was to literally put him on the show. So
to make him work, put him to work. Exactly.
What's happening, everybody? It's good to see you guys.
I think there's actually probably a conflict of interest, and I don't think I'll be able to do the prizes anymore. So congratulations, everybody.
You're all winners.
We were pretty much paying him, so we had to just,
Like, all right, come on, man. You got to get to work.
I'm on the Patreon, and I was still making profit.
Hey, listen, you've made more money off of this show monetarily than I have.
Same.
Oh, cool. Well, what's going on? How we doing? It's kind of crazy out there, huh?
Yeah. One of us was supposed to be on an airplane here in about 9 hours.
That's not going to happen.
No, it's not.
The airplane is going to be ice.
That airplane. When I flew in from Virginia this afternoon, they were already canceling flights, and it was still just cloudy, but I'm like, no, we're gonna do it. Cancel flight.
Everybody's just PTSD'd from last year.
Fuck yeah.
I'm just first here. I'm actually making a little mini video about this I'm documenting this whole situation because of how ridiculous it is. All of the grocery stores, everything's gone. Vegetables, meat, the shelves are completely empty. My wife went last night to get some formula, and it was just insane. People full carts. What happened last year? All the power went out. You're going to have all the freaking meat and vegetables in your fridge. The power is going to go out. It's going to spoil. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah. Well, it won't spoil. All you got to do is open, just take it.
I guess just toss it outside. We used to use that outside to cool our beer down when I lived up in Minnesota. So I feel that. But it's nuts. There's just ice everywhere out there right now. It's crazy. So if anybody's out there trying to travel around, stay put if you can. If not, be very, very careful. We'd like to see you all back here next week.
Yes, JL is in the side chat, so he's doing 25 miles an hour, up 75 here in Oklahoma. So he'll be home in about 4 days.
47 business days. Take it easy out there, JL. Seriously.
Yeah. Yep.
Be careful.
Yep.
So we should talk about something that we all just kind of watched together.
Do we really want to talk about this?
I mean, we can.
I mean, I know JL put it in the script, but
he's not here. What's he going to do?
Here. We do whatever we want. Haha, JL, you let me in charge here.
Took exactly 4 minutes for the mutiny to start. I watched it on the timer.
Yeah, we could talk about this monstrosity that is the Netflix Texas Chainsaw Massacre trailer.
You got to take it at face value. It's a Netflix Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
But here's the thing: Netflix they've set the bar high for themselves.
They do, but they do this thing where it's like it's back and forth. It's like, hey, let's do this thing. And you're like, oh yeah, it's gonna be great, and it sucks. And then you're watching it like, oh, this is gonna be okay, and it's great. Who knows now?
Well, they also do this shotgun technique where they will take an intake. It's that joke on South Park, like, thank you for calling Netflix, you're approved, where they intake a ton of movies and a ton of shows, and then whatever doesn't float gets dropped or canceled or whatever. Yep. So,
and even stuff that works, even stuff that's good, they only give them like 3 seasons tops.
Mm-hmm.
I'm surprised that.
Shows, but
yeah, like The Punisher only got 2 seasons. Are you fucking kidding me? That show
was
great.
I hope they follow through with continuing that storyline in the universe.
He said he's up for it. The actor that
Yeah.
played the Punisher said
John
he's down
Bernthal,
for
yeah.
it. So.
John
Yeah.
Bernthal was born to play that role.
Oh yeah, I didn't think he was
Yeah,
going to do
seriously.
great. I haven't liked some of the other parts he played, but like I watched that show and I was instantly addicted. Like I was like a child when season 2 came out.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
like I said, I was the same with you. I was like, I don't know. This is Shane Walsh from The Walking Dead. I don't know.
I don't know. No, he played it great.
Yeah.
But anyways, this one we're going through this. What do you guys think, Johnny? I know you hated it.
I didn't hate it. Okay, I didn't hate it. I just thought that they're trying. It seems like a cash grab to me. It really does. It seems like they're just trying to, cash in on something that was great back in the 70s. And again, I'm basing all this on a trailer, so I don't want to, over speak, but it just doesn't seem. I don't know. It just didn't. It seems like it's trying to be gimmicky. It seems like it's trying to cash in on a franchise, and I don't know if they're going to do it justice.
It's going to be kind of hard, especially because it's like a sequel. It's like a
Right.
Like a reboot, if you will. So you gotta not fuck it up. And you're looking at stuff that happens 50 years later. There's a lot that's changed in the last 50 years.
Yes.
And to be able to squeeze that all in while sticking to a gripping storyline, if you will.
Here's the thing: how old
difficult.
was Leatherface back in the 70s?
Well, yeah, exactly. Older.
And now he's 50 years older.
I mean, could be anywhere between 70 and 90 years old, depending.
So
on...
Leatherface would just be his natural state of being.
Right, exactly. He doesn't have to use anybody else's face. He is leather. I don't know, Aaron. You had some good points on it. What did you think about it?
I mean, it's a reboot, so I had a little. You guys talked 2-3 episodes ago about the whole Texas Chainsaw multiverse, and they're just doing it again because I'm trying to remember. I read some about this, and I think they're starting it off of number 2, or they're starting off the end of number 1 or something like that. And it's just, I mean, they could like rip somebody's face off for real, and I'd be like, they're trying too hard.
Yeah.
But I'll give it a go, but I'm not gonna set my expectations high because I'd probably do the movie itself a disservice.
It is.
I'll look at it. Well, when it comes out, I'll look at it. See, like I said, we're basing all this on a 2-minute trailer. So it could be the greatest thing we've ever seen. It just, to me, it doesn't look like it's going to be the greatest thing we've ever seen.
Well, I think they hurt themselves with that trailer too, because they did. So in the original one of the really hitting moments is at that door when that hammer hits and that door slams. That's when you know that something's going wrong. Like that whole situation's changed, and looked not like a frame for frame, but he dropped the hammer on the guy's head pretty much the same manner, and it doesn't look anywhere near as good as the original. It's in high def. I mean, it's very pretty, but the original
that's what we talked about this in the green room before the show, talking about how nice and pretty it looked. And that's not what we want. It's not what we want from a Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie. It's supposed to be gritty. It's supposed to be grimy. It's supposed to be dirty. I mean, the actors were talking about was one of the worst shoots they've ever done because it was so hot in the house they were doing it and smelled like fucking burnt feet or some just ridiculous. People were taking breaks to go vomit out of the windows. And you could feel and smell those things through the film. You know what I mean? You got that grittiness. And this one does. It looks real nice. Like I said, it looks sharp. They spent a lot of time, on post-production and cleaning everything up and making sure that the image looks great. But I think that does the franchise a disservice.
No, they should have. The original one, it's washed out. I don't know if they did that intentionally or that's just an effect of the film stock they had, but that adds to it because the colors are really muted. So, a white is a yellow on it, and that makes the whole thing dirtier. And it plays too because the intro is this is a true story. Here are some clips of the investigation, and they segue into that. I don't think you can do that with digital, or you can do something like that with digital, but it's just way, way too nice. I cannot remember her name. She directed The Love Witch. She only shoots on film, and you can tell when you watch her stuff, and I love it. I wish they'd go back to it more. But
I understand why they don't, because film stock is not ridiculously expensive, but it adds in a level of expense, especially everything's going digital
Well, and you've got to have somebody that can process it and somebody that knows how to use it correctly. You
Right.
know, it's we're so far away from it at this point that digital is just so much easier and cleaner.
Yeah.
You've got the $3,000 program that you can throw it in there and chop it up, you know, in a short amount of time, and then get it over to Netflix. That's the other thing, is it's not like a big production company. Here, let's throw some on Netflix. At least we don't have to pay for it, which is why I have no problem being like, yeah, I'll watch it, no problem.
Sure.
But yeah, like you said, that gritty, dirty feeling is gone. And if you've ever been to, you know, South Texas, it's hot, it's muggy, it's gritty, it's gross, it's dirty. It's just like, you can feel that in the originals, like you said. And this one, it looks too clean. You've got, like, you know, LED and neon lights in the backgrounds of some of the shots, and it's just really modernized. I don't know. We'll see if they can stick to the script on this one and you know, move in a direction that's actually going to work. Because if it does, shit, you could, you know, it could be like Halloween. You could throw another movie up there.
Just
Yeah,
go
really.
to it, project it onto a dirty bed sheet. Supposed to be.
Hey, that's actually not a bad. Get one of those Wish projectors or some shit.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Perfect.
Really
Oh,
crappy
man.
projector. It runs that movie and then it's done.
Yeah, you get one.
Get one. It only costs, you know, $3, and it
Yeah, I
takes
was
6
gonna say, it
months to
costs you
get
It takes 6
$3.95.
months to get here.
Yeah. $3.95 in 6 months of your life, and then you have your projector for one movie.
Hell yeah.
All right. Well, speaking of movies,
Are you not going to JL it and say what's up to the live chat here?
Oh yeah, I guess I forgot. I always forget about the JL live chat business. All right, who do we have? We have Tony Regime, who says foist, not first, foist. Mr. Malore says, Gabba Gabba, you are one of us. I don't want to be a pinhead no more. Glover Mom, good to see you. Travis Brown. Weekend Horror says, listening. So we're listening and lurking to our own fucking show.
I don't know if that's egotistical or
I think it is.
interdimensional.
I think it's egotistical. Mr. Malore says, all good movies this week.
Yeah, we'll get into that.
Cindy Johnson, good evening. Travis Brown, good evening. Nerd Journal says, Zoinks. I like that reference. Let's see, here we have, who else we have? Alex Peterson says, hey, y'all we'll be on in 10 minutes. That's two people from the Weekend Horror that are watching itself. Angel, good to see you. Andrew Rivera says, good evening, everybody. Let's see what else we have. I think that NANA says, hello, everyone. Hello. Charlie Welsh says, yo. And the George said, fired. All right, guys, I'm out. See ya. Bye.
Sweet anarchy.
Okay. Jinju, hello. Booma says, and hala. Fuck. Sorry, guys. Search Asm says, woot, with 2 zeros. And of course, JL, he'll be back in Oklahoma in about 6 days. Just so you know. There's three.
Yeah.
I should log in and then comment, so it'll be all of us.
Yeah.
All we need is Eugene and myself.
Well, no,
Anonymous Veteran says, hello, everyone. Hello. Jared Reese says, hello. Yes, more mutiny. Exactly.
don't talk to Jared Reese. That her name's not Jared, and she knows things.
Ooh, Jared, we need to connect after this or during this. Just let me send me an email.
Just give me a call.
Just give me a call. Give me all the stuffs. Jinju says, providing he doesn't, don't put that evil out there.
Don't you put that on me, Ricky Bobby.
Ass hat. Now, normally, I would assume that this person was talking about me, but based on the conversation,
This one time.
No, that person is like 15 feet that way. Maybe a little over.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
I know where the bodies are.
They're right there.
Hey, Johnny, check the
murder
messenger.
hole.
Which one? Which messenger?
Her name's not Jared, Charlie.
It works though.
Hey, you know what? We don't judge. It's okay.
Oh yes, I forgot. Where is it? I don't have it. That's why I didn't forget it, Jay. I don't have it because there should be a patron banner that's running along the bottom of the line of the thing here. But what JL doesn't realize is that because I'm using this is my StreamYard account, not his StreamYard account. He has it on his StreamYard account, and they don't do this to. They don't do this or this.
Hey, this is a children's
I mean,
show. What are you doing?
This is a substitute teacher stream.
Substitute teacher
It's
stream.
not going to be organized. It's not going to happen like it's supposed to, but
We're not
everybody's
even
going to have fun.
Really, if it's a substitute teacher stream, we're not even supposed to be talking about horror films. I'm supposed to put on like The Sound of Music. Like, there you go, guys. Just watch this.
Should we talk
I've been
about The
watching a lot of
Outsiders?
K-drama.
Greaser. Stay golden, pony boy.
Yep. All right, let's do this. Let's get into the movies. Now, this says something about here. Okay, so here's the script, and read the script, right? It says, Johnny, meaning me. This is my line, and my line is, Johnny, what do we have first?
But then it goes to Eugene.
Then it goes to
who's
Eugene,
not
who's Aaron. So, Aaron, what do we have up first?
I got to be Eugene.
Because Eugene, well, look, Eugene is a sex symbol, so that's like high praise.
Yeah, but you're statistically cooler. All right, so we got the Night Flier out 2/6/1998, and let's see if I can do this off screen up. Director is Mark Pavia. It's based on a short story by Stephen King. Screenplay is by Mark Pavia and Jack O'Donnell, starring Miguel Ferrer, Julie Entwistle, and Dan Monahan. Let's see. Okay, I think I did it without messing it up.
You did a good job. You did a great job.
All right.
But what's it about?
Oh, yes. What is it about?
So basically, you got, let's see, it's Richard Dees. I remember the name Dees because
Jeez, nuts. Sorry.
Knew it was coming.
Sorry.
Dees nuts. Bud Abloy. You knew it wasn't going to be normal having me on.
No, it's fine.
But Richard Dees, he's a reporter for a tabloid. It's sort of like the Inquirer, which I don't even know if they're around. Everything's digital. But he is following a serial killer who themes himself as a vampire and uses a almost completely black plane Cessna with red on the tail, trying to chase it down. Julie Entwistle plays another reporter who ends up sort of partnering with him to track it, and it turns out that it's serial killer's not pretending. So
He's not pretending.
He doesn't always find yeah, he is a vampire. Whoa.
Yeah. Well, the
That's a
DVD
twist.
cover, so I was looking back, and it got a premiere on HBO in 1997. And I guess it did it well enough that they decided in 98 to go ahead and drop it in theaters, and it bombed. And when they released it, I didn't see the movie poster. I probably should have dug deeper, but the DVD itself, which is what most people are going to see now, had the picture of the vampire in monstrous form. So before you even start the movie, you know where it's going.
Right.
So, I mean, there's no secret there.
No, and like you said, it's based off of a short story of the same title. The short story was good, and then they brought this adaptation to the screen. And for being a King movie, it kind of was lackluster. He has some of those sometimes, especially with the short films.
Yeah.
And it came out. It wasn't bad. It was. I mean, everything about the acting was good. It was a good story. It got kind of boring though.
Yeah, it wasn't
quite. It didn't adapt quite as well as you would have thought it would, and it was kind of hard to hit some of the elements that they had in the short story. There was more of like a creepy ambiance about it, and you got the detective who they like dig deeper into than they do in the film. So you kind of know more of the background on everything. So it's kind of like they could have done a little bit more because it was a short story and you could do a full movie on it. There should have been more to it, but it really wasn't. And you got to the third act and you're kind of like, whatever. And then you hit the end when you kind of find out what's going on. And then I don't want to spoil too much of it, but you get to the end of the movie.
This is a 98 film. So
I guess,
yeah.
So when you get to the end and
embargo.
he kind of goes nuts and then gets busted, you're like, whoa, but that was really it. That was kind of the high end of the whole movie.
Yeah.
So the problem with Stephen King films, like we were talking about earlier, is that they're either good or they're not. There's no in between.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not that this wasn't good. It's that it's forgettable.
Yeah.
It's like the executives came to him and said, "Hey, we want you to make an okay movie. You want a good movie? No. we want an
We
okay.
don't have enough money for a good movie. Just
Right.
make a medium movie.
Yeah, because it hit HBO, and I watched a movie before I looked anything up to give it its fair chance. I assumed that this was like an NBC release because it had all of his standard trademarks. It had the piano music, just like you hear on most of them. Like It used a lot of it. The film stock itself was the same grade. Miguel Ferrer, he's a great actor, but the character wasn't developed real well, man. He's supposed to be a jerk, but he's over the top. Like,
He's a
what
good
do you,
character actor.
yeah, what do you care if the guy's such a jerk that he gets killed? I mean, you're not rooting for him to die,
Oh,
obviously, but because it's not that happens. And that it felt like something that should have been on at 9 o'clock on NBC.
Yeah.
It did not feel like an HBO release, and it should have never hit the big screen.
I mean, it was a full hour and a half. It was like a full feature length. It box office like 125K. It was like it flopped.
The beauty part about doing short stories is that the number one thing that people complain about when turning a book into a film is that they leave out so much stuff, which you would think would be solved by the fact that this is a short story. There's not much from the short story to leave out. Like if you look at some of the best, and I'll fight anybody about this, but the best Stephen King adaptation from a short film was Shawshank Redemption. Period, hands down. There is nobody who can argue against that. Not successfully anyway, because it brought over everything you needed from the short story. There was nothing left out of the short story that was hugely important, and instead of just being a telling of the short story, it added more to the mythos and it added more to the meat of the story itself. Frank Darabont is a genius when it comes to his Stephen King interpretations. He and who's the other one? Who's the other one who did Gerald's Game? God, what is his name?
Gerald's Game was great.
That was great.
What are you looking for the
director? Was it Flanagan? Was it Flanagan?
Flanagan?
Doesn't matter. I think it's who it was, but
yeah, it was Mike Flanagan.
Mike Flanagan, yeah.
Okay.
But if you look at like that being the bar of the best, and the Lawnmower Man being the bar as the worst.
Yeah, you can put it there.
Yeah, honestly, because
the Lawnmower Man just borrowed a name that had nothing to do with his short story.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, the closest as a guy was the name of the character, and then he liked to mow lawns. Somehow we got Pierce Brosnan and chimps and VR and anyway.
Listen, when you got fuck you money, you can do some weird shit.
Definitely fuck you money. But if we're looking at that being the scale, right? Shawshank Redemption being the best, and then Lawnmower Man being so bad that Stephen King sued to get his name removed from that film.
I would have.
Yeah. As far as Pierce Brosnan, can I get my performance removed from this film? But this movie falls somewhere in the middle, which makes it forgettable. Like I had forgotten about this movie. I was like, hey, let's watch this for this week. I'm like, oh yeah, I did watch this movie way back when.
Yeah, I did too, and I couldn't remember. I remember the overall plot, and that's it.
Right. But so yeah, we've got this came out. It was Night Flier came out what 99, 98? Yeah, 98.
98.
And then HBO had another one that was a Stephen King movie that was
The Stand, or not The Stand.
and Storm of the Century.
They also in 98. It was weird. I noticed when I was looking it up. The TV version of The Shining came out.
The ABC special, yeah.
Out of Jack Torrance's father is Mark. And then he had been in The Stand a few years earlier, and I'm like, he just keeps popping up in Stephen King stuff.
We're talking about what's his name, Ferrer?
Yeah, the lead actor.
Charlie
Because
Welch
that's
made
the
a good
first thing.
point. Sorry.
11/22/63 is a great book.
Great book.
The movie wasn't the
show.
serialized. It wasn't bad. They're just some things they changed on there. I was like,
It's hard when you put somebody like what's his face? I always forget his name.
James Franco.
Yeah, James Franco into something like that. It's kind of like you've seen all of his other work, so it's kind of hard to look at him seriously.
Yeah, he's typecast as himself, unfortunately for him.
Right.
Yeah, but so that's what I was saying. This film here was overshadowed by a movie that was made specifically to be an HBO special, The Storm of the Century. And like I said, I had completely forgot about this movie until JL said, "Hey, we're going to watch this for this next week." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, that movie does exist." It's not, and that's not because it's bad. It's not because
like
it's a terrible movie. It's just
like
not
the Langoliers. Like you see it on
Right.
TV once, and you just kind of forget about it for the rest of
Right.
your life until it gets brought up again.
until it comes out back out on some sort of marathon or some shit.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, if I woke up in the
Interdimensional
middle of the night, it was on, I'd watch it. That's it.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Yeah, it's not terrible.
That was
There
back in
was
the day.
supposed to be a sequel for it though, called Fear of Flying. It was written by Pavilion King. Like, I want to say it was 2004 or 5 or something like that. And it ended up getting canceled because they couldn't fund it. They wanted $10 million in financing. But the original movie was just they called it a minor cult hit. And so it never got any traction. And I mean, I feel like they might have been able to do better with a sequel. And they're like, maybe it was kind of lackluster. We should probably like try to fix this. And then they couldn't come up with the source,
right,
monetary $10 million when the first one made 125K. So yeah, it kind of flopped.
It's kind of hard to get that kind of backing. Hey, I need $10 million. How much does the first one make?
Not even $250,000.
Almost that.
The film score was like 2.5 out of 4, which on one of them. But then there was a whole bunch of people that were like, "No, it's boring. It just didn't suck me in. It wasn't scary." There was a couple of when they showed when they showed the vampire, it was like, okay, yeah, it's creepy, but it's not.
I think the problem is like Aaron was talking about. They put it on the cover.
Mm-hmm.
True, yeah. That was the
monster on the cover. It kind of kills the reveal of the monster.
That was the only reveal, yeah.
Well, and they had a real opportunity because this guy, if you look at what he knew and the few things we saw about the vampire early on, it was kind of schlocky. It was stereotypical vampire, and they could have really, ridden that one home where this guy thinks he's a vampire, and you see all this stuff, you get to the end, and bang, he's not. And even if we felt it coming, it could have still been interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But the whole time they were pushing that supernatural angle down your throat. So by the time you got there, it was obligatory.
Right.
I was just thinking, Johnny, when you were talking about like somebody was over the top asshole in the movie, and they really emphasize him kicking what's her face out. Or leaving her behind and stuff, and then she's the one that sees him whacking the bodies with the axe or whatever. And I mean, that was it though. That was the only the climax was at the very end of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
So just like blah.
And it halfway made sense, the whole hallucination and everything. Like,
right.
Because you think when he gives him the blood that he's determined, oh, you're evil. I'm going to make you physically as evil as you are psychologically. And no, he has this whole hallucination. And it's like, why did he slaughter this whole airport? Was he on a binge? Why did the guy show up fighting with just a camera? I mean, there was no way, even if this was a person that was taking lives, that he was going to be able to defend himself. And it felt so set up and so fake.
Yeah.
So. Yeah. So there is a I don't know if you have the script, right? Yes, Aaron. So your call to action.
Yeah. Let me see. Remake, yes or no?
Yeah, I mean that's kind of what I'm curious. I am curious to know if we should remake this, or not we, as in you and me and Alex here, but if we would want to see a remake of the Night Flier.
I'll be honest, there are so many stories by King that are not better than Night Flier. Night Flier is good. Like I said.
Did he though?
I remember the story. It obviously wasn't huge for me, but there are others that, and the Creep Show actually has done a little bit with that, with like gray matter and stuff. But a lot of them be better in just that format, a short show, but not the Night Flier.
See, we always talk about on this show, if you're going to remake a movie, you remake a bad movie, and I think that whereas this is not a bad movie, I think this is one that you can remake and do it much better than it was. This is one of the few films that you can remake, and the bar isn't to be just as good as the original. You can outshine the original with the remake. So I wouldn't be opposed to a remake.
I agree completely, 100%. I would watch a remake of this.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
not even as like a redemption. That's the thing. It's not even like a redemption of it. It's just like you could have done a little better.
yeah.
I'd watch it. I wouldn't greenlight it, but yeah, I would watch it.
I'll at
Fuck
least
it, make it a Netflix show. I'll watch it.
I'm not giving you my money, but you can have his.
you can have that guy's money, and I'll watch it on his dime. But let us know what you think in the side chats comment section down below, or weekinhorror@gmail.com, because Alex, wait, there he is. He's over there. Alex needs things to read while he's pooping.
Put them in the comments. We got to pimp this show a little more.
A little bit. All right. Speaking of Alex, what do we have up next?
All right. This one was fun. I like this one. This movie is called May. Came out February 7th, 2003, I believe. I know it was released in Sundance in 2002. Either way, this is a psychological horror film written and directed by Lucky McKee. It was his directorial debut. This one starred Angela Bettis, Jeremy Sisto, Anna Faris was in this, which was, yeah, we'll get there. And James Duvall is in this one. This movie followed May, this young woman who was picked on her whole life because she had a lazy eye. She had a very difficult childhood. And you kind of watch her descent into madness as she kind of, even though her lazy eye gets fixed, her life doesn't really turn around. Her awkwardness kind of rubs off on people the wrong way, and people kind of reject her over and over again. And she had an unhealthy obsession with the doll that she lost, and things go absolutely apeshit as she tries to recreate something that she lost with living human parts. Kind of a descent into madness type psychological film, if you will.
Yeah, well, if you look it up, they described it as a slasher, and I don't feel that way at all.
No, and there are some slasher elements to it. I mean, the way that she like double scalpels Anna Faris, which is fucking amazing.
Yeah.
But it's not. It doesn't focus on it. It's not absolutely like super gory or anything. It's not supposed to be. It's more like this woman's slowly going crazy because even though her physical ailments have been cured, her mental and psychological issues.
I feel like they could have picked something much more physically, like more. I don't know, like you got a lazy eye. That's something that doctor's going to go done, fixed.
Dude, I've got a lazy eye.
Well, they try to pack a lot into this thing, and that's one thing is I would almost say this isn't a horror movie. It's got a horror segment, but they pack so much in because they're trying to rush through the childhood. Her mother's obsession with perfection gets portrayed in 2 scenes, and then suddenly she's grown up, and then they got to run through everything that happens to her, and then that's when the horror really starts. And the middle section is probably the best, and it gets weakened by the other 2. And I mean, it had potential.
Travis Brown, you put yourself in the corner.
Go in the corner, Travis Brown.
I think that they could have, instead of breaking this up the way they did, where it's the childhood at the beginning and then then the rest at the end. I think what they should have done, what they could have done to make that where it didn't seem like they really compacted, like, oh, we got this much story that we need to put in this much space. I think what they could have done was interwoven some of those childhood stories throughout.
Flashbacks.
Right.
Yeah.
I get it's kind of cliched, but when it works in this type of situation, I think it would have worked much better than saying you're like the Micro Machines version of her childhood and then expect us all to be able to keep up and actually give a shit because yeah, she has a lazy eye and that sucks. But again, glasses, a little bit of a cut, that's taken care of. I mean, that's something that's easily solved.
It's like the horror version of She's All That.
Yeah, right.
Put her hair up and suddenly she's pretty.
Yeah, right.
But see, I mean, I see what you're saying, but also if you would have gone with anything, if you try to use a major deformity, you'd have to really focus on how they fix it, which could be lengthy.
But here's the thing. I think this is how they could have solved this whole thing. Instead of making it a lazy eye, they could have made it a cleft palate.
I mean, yeah. That's as far as you can go, though. You don't want to take away from the story, and that's the problem.
Sure.
I think is they really wanted to focus on the actual story, which I thought was good. I thought this was a fun movie. It was there were elements to it, like I was talking about the scalpels with Anna Faris and then Anna Faris's girlfriend that were like kind of not campy, slashery, cheesy, like in a good way, like a B film in a good way. And you know, they didn't focus on the blood. They focused on, hey, this woman's going crazy, and shit, I forgot her name already. Angela Bettis.
Yeah.
Was fantastic for this role. I don't know if it could have gone any other way. Again, though, Anna Faris in it too is like you see her in a scary movie and you just think, you know, scary movie.
Scary movie,
like,
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I thought it really played well into not overdoing like the deformity, if you. I mean the lazy eye. It's little, it's light. You get it done with. It's over with. You don't think about it again because it's not a main plot point. It's the fact that this woman
thought it kind of is.
It pulls away
setup of her mental, you know.
She doesn't realize that people don't like her because she's awkward. She thinks they don't like her because she has a lazy eye. And when that goes away, people still think she's weird. And then she's like, well, fuck you. And then, you know, the whole aspect of the doll, and the doll gets broken and she loses her mind. You know, she wants this doll. She puts together this human doll with the parts that she finds the most attractive with other people. And it's that whole thing. There's a lot going on. There's a lot going on.
Speaking of, did you guys see that JL, I think, sent a story over, and I wish I had it, because talking about this doll, this is like a real live story, and I forget who. I don't know where JL finds this shit. Okay, I'm kind of afraid of JL and the time he has on his hands, because he finds some of the most obscure, fucking weird stories. But apparently there was a woman who stitched together a doll, like a life-sized doll of her, I guess I think it was her youngest child, because her youngest child was like getting older and not wanted to be as affectionate towards mommy anymore. So she, you know, had to have this doll, and it, oh God, I wish, JL, if you're listening, I need you to send me those photos again, because God, you want nightmare fuel. You want some nightmare fuel. But this, I feel like that story, right? The one that the real life thing that I just told you about, like she had to create this little stitch and whatnot, and it looks fucking creepy as shit. But that story there is far more terrifying than, you know, oh, I got made fun of because I have a lazy eye, so I became socially awkward, or I'm socially awkward on top of that, and here's this doll thing.
Well, as when the killing starts, when she starts building this doll, I mean, there's kind of mixed signals, because at first I thought the doll was like her mother in her head, but no, it's actually a suppressed part of her personality, because it gets smashed. The doll comes out. She dresses like it. She does makeup like it and all that.
Yeah.
But they key you into what's going to happen, because the first guy that she goes to take apart has a Frankenstein tattoo on it. Normally that would be a cute little hint, but that's at the exact go point. So it's really trying to say, well, this is what's going on. Well, don't show me that just so bluntly.
Oh, there we are.
Let me get to it. Honestly, the more important thing than the eye was, oh God, crocheted.
Yeah. So she could cuddle it.
All I can think of is the little sock guy off of Little Big Planet.
This does not do the terror justice. He showed me the pictures of this thing, and I swear to God, we're gonna start hearing stories about, you know, the crocheted doll murdering people soon. I promise you.
Oh,
they put AI into it.
Well, as I was saying, they do not lace enough of her mother, because, you know, my wife and I talked about this because she had seen this before. This is the only movie from the night I hadn't seen, and I kind of avoided it for the same reason. This was more dramatic than horror, but it's her mom's obsession with perfection that drives her, that she inherited. And they really didn't lay in enough that that's why she's doing this. It feels like this is, and it does drive her off the edge, the fact that everything falls apart for her supposedly blooming relationships, her friendships fall apart, and that's the trigger. But that in itself, it's why she starts, but it's not her methodology for, you know, why she's doing exactly what she's doing. And they could have done a better job spending more time on the mom. growing up, it's like you said, include the flashbacks, lay the groundwork. Don't try to transition quite so much.
They really did just kind of skip over a lot
Just
of that shit.
because I don't want to be the only one with nightmare fuel. Look at Aaron's face.
Because it looks like Leatherface, but it's like potholder face.
Yeah.
That's God. I mean, that's more terrifying. If you've ever seen the Warrens, their real museum is silly. Annabelle is cuddly. They've got this thing that they supposedly found in the forest that's a devil worshiper statue, and it looks like something from Burning Man.
God.
And somebody just wanted to make something to cuddle, and this is what happened.
Yep.
Poor life choices.
Why is it picking its nose right here? I'm just curious. Why is this happening?
It looks like there's somebody in it on that one. I know there's not, but
No, you don't.
oh, God. Yeah, how do you stand to have that in the room?
I love my kids. I will never crochet a life-size fucking version of any of them.
Nope.
I hope to God my daughter isn't watching this over my wife's shoulder or something. She's supposed to be in bed, but she's afraid of dolls staring at her when she's going to sleep. She will never sleep again.
Can you imagine waking up and that thing standing
You
at the
just
foot of your bed?
destroyed my life, Johnny.
Like I said, I don't want to be the only one. I don't want to be the only one with nightmare fuel. Just gonna leave that up for a little bit longer. All right, we're done.
Checking the chat to see if my wife's in there screaming at me. I seem to be all clear.
God damn it, Aaron.
Yeah. But
I know JL wanted us to touch on something here in the script. A little bit with what do they say? Horrors of womanhood, is that what he said?
Yes.
And like there is, I guess the time that this did come out, there's a lot of weight on women in society. There always has been. We've made a lot of progress in, with feminism, and I guess not feminism, but more women's rights, becoming part of society. And it's more now than it ever has been. But like, when you're growing up as a small girl, I have 4 little girls, and it's like the one wrong thing, you could be like, that drawing sucks, and it's going to ruin the little child's week. It's terrifying, and it's hard. It's heartbreaking watching my little girl get hurt. They have to grow up in a world where it's like feel like I know my daughters feel like they have to be pretty, and they have to do this. They got to act this way because they're a girl, and it's hard. And in this movie, when you watch this little girl, is getting made fun of for a thing, and then finds out that she's kind of going crazy. It's got to be hard. It's got to be hard to be a woman, and having any sort of kind of outcast situation cast upon you from day one can make your entire life a living hell, from what I understand. I'm not a woman. I can't speak on that.
Yeah,
but I know
I saw that, that plot or the point in the script, and I thought to myself, how
do you even level with something you don't understand?
I could never understand what that's like.
Well,
go ahead, dude.
You kind of waffle the whole time too between, is she creepy or is she just awkward? And the whole film actually kind of feels that way because you're trying to decide how you feel about it. But
which is a good plot device, mind you. It's a good way to tell the story, right? Not knowing whether she, is it just a social awkwardness or is she genuinely a creepy person? Because when you think about it, you look at it like real life serial killers, like Ted Bundy. When you look at this guy and you listen to some of the story, like the interview tapes with the police, and then you look at some of the other people talk about how he was, he was very very handsome and this and that and the other. Then the contract, you know what I mean? Like using that, is she just socially awkward or is she a genuinely creepy person? Using and blurring that line and making us have to sit there and think about it is a great way to tell the story. I just think they missed out on some of the important pieces of that. They didn't like. I think there were parts where it was too heavy-handed. Maybe that's just me.
Yeah, there's.
Is there?
I feel like there was going to be a really good point that he was about to make before he went straight mannequin mode.
Oh, there we go.
There he is.
It was weird. I killed the chat because I was getting some lag, and it just seemed to suicide. But oh yeah, the scene with the dog where she's talking about the sutures breaking, its guts coming out. You can't tell if she finds that funny or if she just doesn't know how to properly express it to somebody. Where she's like, or whatever, and then because it seems like that is a job, but even when it is, when you're talking to somebody outside of profession, you usually cushion it. And then the same thing when they go to bed, she sees the film of his where there's blood mixed with sex and everything, and she bites his lip. And
the cannibal film.
yeah, it's like, did she bite his lip because she likes that, or did she bite his lip because she thinks he wants that? And I and my wife, we talked a lot about this one because we were trapped in by the snow. So we had a good chance to kind of talk about
And the snow.
seen it, I kind of had an assumption that he was an asshole before he came out with it because of how he treated her, rather than taking his time and recognizing something's going on, because he liked that she was strange. But when you welcome people in your life that have mental illnesses or even just kind of social awkwardness, you have to make a decision if you're gonna take and work with them through that, and it will make lasting relationships if you do. But if you're not ready for it, you'll hurt them. You'll hurt them, and you'll hurt yourself. So like, I did not like
because they turn into murderers.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean,
you piss them off the wrong way, and they'll kill you.
I've lost some good
you
friends
guys are both
that
married.
way.
But yeah, I mean, kind of touching back on the whole thing. A woman's role in society, kind of, especially. I mean, I'm only 31, so I was born in 1990. So I watched my mom kind of go through being a stay-at-home mom, and then she kind of did daycare from home, and then did daycare from home. Stayed at home, cooked, cleaned, did this. There was a lot of pressure on her all the time. While my dad went to work, and that's what I saw growing up. But that's changed drastically. Nowadays, it's kind of like, well, and not only like you have to have a 2-income house to fucking survive anymore, but just being, pulling out of those misogynistic roles. My wife's working right now, and I'm in the middle of transferring, moving jobs around, so it's like she's the breadwinner for a while, and that's fine. It's not like, some people are okay with it, some people aren't, but with the pressure of everyday life, especially back in that time period, on a woman, mixed with any sort of mental illness and it's stress, and it can make somebody snap and slit throats with scalpels
and put together somebody that's nicer to them.
Yeah, exactly. Somebody that can love them the way that they love, without looking at malformities
or something like that.
I love that she built the perfect person. And that she hates like scars and imperfections, and this thing is covered in stitches, and she's still just like, you're so perfect. I'm like, no.
Just because I want to remind everybody. Look at Aaron. I'm never sleeping again, fucker.
I'm gonna go burn all my sweaters.
All of them. No, so I like that you brought up the imperfection thing, right? So there's an old Nathaniel Hawthorne story called The Birthmark, where he is like, well, not he, but the main character of the story is married to this very beautiful woman. She's almost perfect in every way except for this birthmark. And in order to achieve perfection, this doctor is trying to figure out how to get rid of this birthmark. And in doing so, he does create the perfect person, but she dies almost instantly after the surgery to remove that birthmark. Like, then the moral of the story is, this is what happens when you achieve perfection. I kind of like how that idea is kind of interwoven throughout this film, like the pursuit of the pursuit of perfection.
Canadian, eh?
Oh, yeah. What are you talking about?
What's this all about over here? Anyway, but how we put all that into that story, the chase of perfection, the chase of what it is to be the perfect lover, the perfect person, the perfect companion, the perfect child.
Yeah,
You gotta keep bringing that up, don't you? JL, you gave Johnny the controls. It's going.
My mom crocheted throughout my childhood. And like,
So did my grandmother.
Bro, you better check under her bed next time you're over
you
there.
just
Oh
just tainted
man,
my childhood.
you're gonna go home one day. And your mom's like, "Hey, look at this," and it's gonna be a life-size version of Aaron with red hair and everything.
No, because that thing really would blow away in the wind.
But
yeah, it's kind of commenting on Johnny. It's our imperfections that make us fit. Like
Right.
you end up with your partner because you have complementing and contrasting imperfections, and like perfect people are boring. People that present themselves as perfect are lying. So
yeah, if somebody comes off as perfect, it's because they're narcissistic. They're not. They spend too much time trying to make a outward image of themselves,
and they feel creepy.
And they are creepy. It is. It's weird when people are too. It's not. No, be quirky. Be weird. Normal is boring. So yeah, I mean that's May, a story of society turning a woman into a monster, and she turns around and in turn makes a monster.
She says, "Fine, I will be the monster."
Yeah, you want to see who I am on the inside? I'll put it out here. God, that's terrifying. Could you imagine? Oh God, ugh, sorry, that was good. But that brings our CTA up here. I'd like to ask the audience, this movie. All we got here is feministic, misogynistic. Does this play on those tropes in this movie? Is it supposed to? I mean, clearly, we see this person turning into a monster because of this site, but is it playing specifically on women? Is it supposed to be that way? Is it, could they have done this with a male role the same way, considering male's role in society at this time? Let us know.
I don't think we're there yet. We're still just dumb brutes running around like those apes that killed off all the alpha males because they got in a fight
Yep.
So dummy killed the rest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but that is true. Our roles as males, it's kind of insane that it's changed so much. It was go to work, provide for your family, and now I do a lot of.
Well, no, see, but that's the thing. Now it's still go to work, provide for your family, but
also take some of the weight off of.
Well,
yeah.
I'm pretty much permanently disabled. I'm still fighting to get money from the government that I put in Social Security. My wife's the one that works. Like she got a job doing ops management for a company that repairs Apple products, and she learned to be a tech. Like I'm the fix-it person in the house, but I can't touch an Apple computer, PCs, but she does it. I mean, like she's the stand-up person in this house as far as I go. She's never guilted me. Like,
and that's how society moves forward.
She was like, build it.
There's more, I think there's more women than men in the world, right? Is that?
I think so.
I don't think I've ever looked that statistic up. Even if it's just 50-50, if you've got women out in the field alongside men, we're gonna move forward as a society a lot quicker than we would have if it was just half the population out there doing something. So having that role, man, I sit at home and I take care of my baby during the day. That's not like a traditional male role. And it's
right.
I take my child with me to go do stuff, run errands and stuff. And people look at me funny because I got a baby on my hip when I'm doing it. Well, it's like what? Like what, dude?
I used to get that all the time. I used to get the whole Mr. Mom thing all the time, and I would tell people like that's not. I understand what you're doing. You're trying to be funny, but it's not funny because
it's my child too.
Yeah, right. I mean, I'm also just because I am taking care of this child whom I financially responsible for. If my child turns out to be the next Ted Bundy, who are you going to yell at? You're not going to yell at the child. You're going to yell at me. Well, both, but still, I mean, the idea of it's like gender roles,
right?
That's starting to. I'm glad it's starting to break down because, like you, I was whenever I was laid off from the animal pharmaceutical company. When I was laid off from them, I went back to school. But part of going back to school meant that I stayed home to take care of the kids. I made sure they got to and from school themselves. I made sure that doctor's appointments were taken care of. When my son was having issues in school, I was the one who took care of it. And it was never discussed between my wife and I, like, oh, you should be doing this and this, that, blah, blah. It was, no, this needs to get done. I'm available to do it because of my schedule. So I'm going to go do it.
Right.
And my wife got a lot of heat. It caused some issues for us because of societal pressures that, oh, why are you the one who's working and he's staying at home?
Why aren't you providing for your family? You know,
Right.
What kind of man are you?
Exactly. You
Yeah.
know, and that was the static that she was receiving because of the way that, which mind you was nobody else's fucking business, but the way that we decided to run our household because it worked for us at the time. Now things have changed since because kids are getting older and everybody's in school. It's a little different, but you know, films like this highlight societal
Norms,
Yeah.
Inequality. Yeah.
norms or whatever, and how those relationships just don't work.
Well, my wife, like I said, she's a technician. She mainly does like operations, stuff like that, but she does a ton of repairs. And when a customer comes in, whether it's guys are worse, but women do it too, and they get a female technician, it's you're doing this, and it's like instant Karen.
It's
Oh, yeah.
ridiculous.
It's there. We are getting there. We're not getting there fast enough.
Well,
I mean,
it's like, yeah, you get like female mechanics. That's one that like you see on like social media platforms. There's these mechanics and they're girls and they're down there showing like, hey, look, I can fix this, I can fix that, and people are like, oh, this is man's fuck off.
mhm.
Crush those fucking norms. If you could do the job, do the job.
Yeah, right. I don't
I
give two
guarantee you
shits.
there is more women out there that can do way more than I can. You know, like
Right.
that's everybody's got their role, man.
I raised my daughters like we intentionally raised them without like, yeah, they're girls, they're she. If they discover that's different about them when they get older and they want to transition, cool. You know, take it as it goes. But as far as toys, hobbies, things you can do, there was never bias. And like, I think the best statement was walked in and she had a Barbie, like one of the smaller Barbie playhouses, and she had Barbie in one hand and Superman in the other together. And Ken was nowhere to be seen. And I'm like, good. Be picky about your man.
He has to be Superman, not just some fucking plastic guy in a box.
You don't get Ken. He's not doing but yeah, it's
Ken's over
It's
there
not all about the clothes.
no.
rocking in the corner, going, "She used to be mine."
Do what you're good at.
Yeah.
Moral of the story: do what you're good at.
Do what you're good at,
Don't
yeah.
take shit from nobody.
Yeah,
Don't assume anything of anybody for any reason until you get to know them, and just.
I could not give two shits what.
Mm-mm.
I mean, I don't give a fuck if you man, woman, up, down, left, right. I don't give two shits. Can you do the job? Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
We can work together.
Excellent. I'm
I got-
asking you because I can't. So if you
Exactly.
I got shit to do. If you can take this, then
Yeah, right.
More power.
It is. Right. Do you want to do it? Yeah, cool. Let's do it.
Yeah,
Can you do it? Yes.
yeah.
Even better. Anyway, let's get on to this
All
next.
right.
Yeah, Johnny, let's do a weird one.
Weird is I guess we could say this is weird. No, it's still weird.
I guess
It's-
that might be the wrong.
it's gonna be. This one has more behind it. Like you could do a show on this one,
Yeah,
Like,
you really do.
top to bottom. We're
whole-
not gonna do
Whenever you see something that says pre,
that, but
whenever you see something that says pre-code horror film, it's like uh-oh.
mhm.
Yeah. And when the tagline of the poster says, "Can a full-grown woman truly love a midget?"
As
I'm
we were
just
just
reading
talking
this,
about,
please
this is
don't
weird.
cancel
That's
me.
weird that we transitioned into this from the last one. Actually,
Right. I think it's interesting. Anyway, we're talking about the 1932 film Freaks.
we sure are.
Not that kind of freak. My wife.
Oh shit! Hold on, let me close my OnlyFans page.
There we go. Produced and directed by Todd Browning, starring Wallace Ford, Layla Hames, Olga Baklanova, and then Roscoe. Is that Roscoe Eights? Sure. Freaks is set amongst the background drop of a traveling French circus. This is an interesting film. I don't even know how to explain this. I mean, it's probably the most correctly titled movie we've ever covered.
Yeah, it was also re-released as The Monster Story, Forbidden Love, and Nature's Mistakes.
Yes.
Well, and the whole thing is surrounded by contradictions. I mean, do you want to do a plot rundown on this, or just dive into it?
We can do a quick plot.
Yeah,
rundown.
do
Basically,
plot.
a beautiful and cunning trapeze artist named Cleopatra seduces a carnival sideshow little person named Hans after learning of his large inheritance. There's your plot.
Yeah.
Sure.
It generally follows her trying to get his money.
Yeah, seduces him.
And
Yeah, so
one
we're
of
Tries to
looking
get
at
his
the
money
side
and then
shows.
we're
treats
looking
him
at
like
a
garbage.
freak show gold digger
Yeah, some people will just go to all lengths for money.
for money. I'll do anything for love. Sorry.
Oh man, rest in peace, man.
Aw.
Yeah, I mean,
It's like it's hard to dive in on because so the
Where do you
whole
go?
thing is like, the whole thing is that like this film, its part or how it's perceived by society changed over time till it started out back in the day. It was a freak show. Like that's what they drew people on, was based on these performers' deformities, which that was a whole thing when
Right.
they got rid of freak shows, is that the people who were there, well, this wasn't acceptable. They were discriminating against them. In some ways they were, but then there was nothing else they could do. They didn't want to accept them in a normal society. So that actually ended up being very bad. It resulted in a lot of people with disabilities ending up in asylums where they were treated poorly. But it went from that to the 1960s. It got popular in Europe, and then it took off over here, and it was seen in new light, hard. Oddly enough, is during the time the peace and love movement started hitting grindhouses, and then more modern terms, it's seen as artistic. And it's, for the time, it was advanced in a lot of ways, and then in a lot of ways it wasn't on the set. So on the set, they took, and the performers, the actual actors that played the members of the freak show, they had them eating and resting in a different area than the crew.
Yep.
Because the crew, it said that made them sick to eat around them. So, you've got this front end where it's progressive, and on the back end, it's still just going on.
Right. Yeah, this film was definitely ahead of its time, simply because of what you just talked about. Yeah.
One of
Yeah,
us.
right.
No, you make a lot of good points. And like, so this movie, essentially it's a story of a woman trying to get inheritance. So she seduces this man and then plots to have him killed by her lover, which is another person in the circus. And it like you're saying, Aaron, there's so much that was going on just with this movie. You couldn't do something like this nowadays. You'd get canceled faster than fucking I couldn't. You'd get canceled so fucking fast.
They redid it. I didn't even know about it. They rebooted it like a few years ago.
It wasn't very long ago, yeah, and it went right under the fucking rug. It was,
yeah.
It wasn't anything that.
Well, it doesn't have the same social impact. I mean,
Right.
It's its time and place. Yes, it became. It got its better reputation in modern era, but its time and place is kind of what gives it value.
Yeah, and like we said before, nowadays normal is weird. Freaks are, if you want to use that word, it's a terrible word, but people that are different are interesting now. It's not it's not so taboo to be different now.
Well, they were interesting back then, but
right. But for different, it was more entertainment than,
well, right, yeah, exactly. So it's the way the conversation was built around those differences. Whereas freak shows they weren't there to highlight the differences in a positive way. You were there to make fun of these people.
Right.
They were there to make you laugh or to make you cringe or make you feel grotesque. You know what I mean? To demonstrate how fucked up the world is, because look at this. There's a short person. Oh, scary.
And then they take too, and there's this whole, supposedly this was an anti-eugenics movie because eugenics was huge back then. But at the same time, that crawler at the beginning says that science and medicine. Sorry, I had to. But they insinuate that there won't be people like this anymore. So this is supposedly anti-eugenics, but at the same time, it kind of pushes it. And then the director, Todd Browning, he directed Dracula. I mean, the Universal Dracula. And you can see that he wanted to make a movie that was more humanitarian, but at the same time, if the original of this it's been lost, but it was so bad. People ran out of theaters, supposedly got sick. A lady blamed them for her miscarriage.
Yeah, I
And
saw
it
that.
included a scene. So when the lady's converted to a freak at the end, we don't see that happening. We see it leading up to it. Originally, it showed that happening, and then it showed them turning the strong man, her lover, into a castrato. And it was a full scene. And they yanked it. So, and you see him kind of, he can't make up his mind which direction he's going with that. And the studio's the same way. Because on one hand, they want to draw people with the freak show appeal. On the other, they don't want to discuss people.
Right.
And
Right.
it is a brilliant movie. I am not saying that it's a horrible movie, but it's just, it says a lot about the time. It really does, because it is a humanitarian film for that time. It is not now.
Yeah, well, and you've got like critics. What the heck was his name? John Towson, I think, was talking about that anti-eugenic sentiment in the movie, and he kind of goes on to talk about like the fact that Browning undercuts the voyeuristic aspects of the traditional freak show by showing them engaging in everyday life activities. And so, like, you get into like look at these people; they're actually just people.
Yeah, wasn't they like? And I know this is a terrible example, but talking about that sort of thing in more modern day media. Look, what was it? Little People. What the hell is
Yeah,
that?
Big World.
Little People, Big World.
Yeah.
There's another one. It was like, because there was one about a couple and one about a family.
Yeah,
And
Right.
that's, Tony's regime just popped up, still goes on mainstream media. TLC, half of it is kind of just that. The only upside is that back then it was about the deformity. Now it's about the story behind it.
right.
Trying to
Because they,
highlight
Demonizing
yeah,
something that has been
Yeah.
so just unbelievably dehumanized.
right.
And you get into that.
Well,
and-
because take a look at even now, like Peter Dinklage talks all the time about how he would refuse certain roles because he didn't want to be, he's like, I didn't want to fucking be an elf. I didn't want to be a fucking gremlin. I didn't want to be a little monster. None of that shit. I wanted real acting roles. I wanted to be the lead in this. I wanted to be, you know what I mean? The fact that he was cast in what was that show? Come on, help me out. I never watched it. Game of Thrones.
yeah.
As that character, you know what I mean? I don't think that was meant to go to a quote little person. That he just blew the, he's such a talented actor that he got that role based on his abilities. And he talking to this day about how he still kind of has to fight those types of roles. Like you can here in DFW, there's a place, and don't ask me why I know this, please don't, because it's a really embarrassing story. But there's a place, not because it's funny embarrassing. It's embarrassing because this is the type of person that when you growing up with these types of like reinforcements, you do things that when you get older, you're like, that's kind of a shitty thing to do. But here in where I not 20 minutes down the road from me, there's a place that you can call up if you need, quote, the midget crew to come out to either be elves or munchkins or any of that shit. You know what I mean? You can go higher, and there's still like that's still the thing that little people are kind of pushed into if they want to be in the entertainment business. Or you want to do cool, you can always be the token whatever. You know what I mean? The token gremlin, the goblin, elf, etc. We're not going to hire you based on your acting ability. We're going to hire you based on the fact that you fit this certain mold. And I think that we're still seeing this shit to this day. To this day, we're still seeing that shit. So,
but we kind of covered that on the last movie. We were talking about if you're good at something, do it. And you know what? It's like, okay, fine. Yes, you are a little person. Johnny, you're not a little person, but there are definitely you've got your fallbacks.
Right.
Everybody's got their fallbacks. Unfortunately, for some people, some of them are physical, and unfortunately, that makes it harder to find your place in society. But we're coming into a world now. This is what, 1932? So
yeah.
It's 80 something years ago, whatever. Sorry, can't do math. Was that way off?
Number bad.
Whatever. A long time ago. But we have come very far, but not far enough to where we can sit here and talk about it without it still feeling kind of awkward.
Yeah,
Right.
well, you're never gonna. Well, I won't say never, but you're not really gonna see movies where, because you have functional differences. I can understand where if somebody has a disability
I feel like as soon as he gets
where they
rolling
can't
into
or
a
they
point,
can't. Yeah, frozen again. But then if they can't perform the role, okay. I think there are some solutions to that, but they're imperfect and we're still working on it. But you're not gonna see a situation where you just write a role for a person and a little person comes in and they're the best actor or best actress and they get that part. Um,
Unless you're
they're
Peter Dinklage, then
yeah,
Right.
well, yeah, but it's that's just not within the conception of Hollywood at this point or anywhere really. And that, referring back to the original movie in Freaks, she says that people will laugh at him because he's in a relationship with a tall woman.
Right.
And when they released that, the criticism was when it coming out from critics is that, or a couple of them, that no one's going to believe that a tall woman and a little person, a short man, are going to be in a relationship, which we now obviously we know is absolutely
yeah,
hmm
ridiculous. But just to see that in a movie, like you're not going to see where they just have a little person that's just in a relationship with somebody else in the movie, where
yeah, fucking
best actor
hilarious.
modify the script.
Right.
And that's,
Yeah.
I mean, and that's why I think this movie kind of worked through the ages. I had just seen it, and it works now because we can look past that. We can see what's going on there. But this was, you got to look at the time period, 1932. This was like right after the Great Depression. You've got the base story still, and the base story is good. Woman wants the money, marries, plots to kill.
Right.
And that's the story. You can look past all the other stuff and still have a movie. Just it was so taboo, I guess. I keep using that word tonight because of the time period, and we didn't have that understanding yet. Which it's cool that we've kind of come that way. You got a lot of critics in this saying that this wasn't necessarily considered a horror movie, that it doesn't embody the genre. But I mean, it is. It's macabre.
Right.
It was originally more horror, and now I mean it's kind of in the same boat as May, where they just executed at the last minute.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and also, yeah, it might have been horror back then, but now it's not. We look at
Yeah.
it
Right. I
completely
was going to
differently.
say, why do we consider it a horror film back then? Because of the freak nature of the characters. Because if you were just to see this, take away the freak nature of the characters, right, and the storyline that the plot line that you pointed out, Alex, talking about. It's a story about a woman who meets a man and wants to take his money, right? That's a drama film.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That was there was a Gwyneth Paltrow movie like that.
There's, I think, 3 Gwyneth Paltrow movies. Like
All the Gwyneth Paltrow movies are like that.
And that's one thing too in this that they intentionally did is they highlighted them in everyday activities, just
Right.
eating, wandering around the camp, and on that same point of yours, if you took just Gwyneth Paltrow minus all the goop and weirdness, but just doing everyday activities, nobody's in.
Right. Yeah. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. How about, hey, I got this movie, guys. It's a movie about Anna Faris walking around doing stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's all Anna Faris movies.
It'll be on Netflix.
It'll be on Netflix. Exactly. We're gonna get in. Yeah, this Netflix movie. Anyway.
I always fucking think of Baby Mama when you say her name.
Oh
Baby
yeah.
Mama? Anna Faris was in Baby Mama?
Wasn't that Anna Faris? Yeah.
Yeah.
She was like one of the main characters. Anyways, yeah, I don't know. There's this shallow ass, eerie. It's just this weird exploitation. That's the word I was looking for.
Yeah.
It migrates more into exploitation than horror. It's I guess it could be like an exploitation horror if you really look at it, but you have to look at it from 1932.
It would have been far more horrific if they left the original stuff in, and it's sad that it's lost.
Right.
Yeah, it's not like we get the bonus features when they put the DVD version out. Bonus features, all the stuff on the cutting room floor. No, that shit's gone forever.
That sucks.
Well, so you actually brought up the call to action. So what I want to ask the audience is: do you think films like this are progressive, or do they really just exploit these people? Right? Because honestly speaking, I think like quote freak show people are still dealing with this. We haven't like really tackled that movement. You know, like if you look at it, when I was talking about there are troops where you can hire quote the midgets for your movie or your party or whatever. You know, it used to be you had like, you know, like black people had that same type of thing where they would be in groups. If you need black people for your films, you can go here and they'll get you all the token black people and whatnot. And that we've seen that go away, which is good because that needs to go away. But we again, here we are talking to this day. I can go right now and do the same thing with little people. So do you think stuff like this is really a progressive conversation, or do you think this film, even for the 32s, do you think it was progressive for 1932, or do you think it was exploitative? Let us know in the comments down below in the side chat or weekinhorror@gmail.com. Again, Alex needs pooping material.
Please no.
Please, sir, may I have some more?
Yeah, I think Charlie's got an altar to Jennifer Lawrence at this point.
Yeah, I'll think it's in the background of every one of his live appearances.
Hey, Charlie, I'm right there with you. Honestly, I know unpopular opinion.
What? I'm talking that Jennifer Lawrence is pretty. I don't think.
Jennifer Lawrence. I don't even know if she's like a good actress. It's just whenever she's on screen, it's like I'll watch. So,
if you want to know where I live, that Hunger Games, it's actually filmed here. That's how redneck I am. Is I live in the killing grounds.
It's I remember reading the Hunger Games. Like I read the books. We had to for college. So I read the Hunger Games, and I'm reading this thinking, okay, this is in Kentucky. And somebody said, how do you know it's in Kentucky? I said, well, I mean, they're coal miners.
Mm-hmm. That or West Virginia. They shot it in North Carolina because we've got a little more set up here for films because like Biltmore Estate is here. They shot part of Hannibal there. The scenes with where he's in the wheelchair, and then the pig feeding scene was there, and they've shot a bunch of them. So they took advantage of that and shot it here. But if it's coal, it's Kentucky or West Virginia.
Yep.
It's the only two places you can get it.
Kind of limited. All right, what do we have up next? Eugene.
Hope you're doing okay out there, Eugene.
Hopefully he'll still talk to me when he gets back. All right, so we've got the Wolfman, released February 12th, 2010. Let me get to this section here. It's directed by Joe Johnston, written by Andrew. Oh, I've got a gap there. Kevin Walker, David Self, based on the 1941 version by Kurt Siodmak, starring Benicio del Toro, Anthony Hopkins, which I think he's Sir Anthony Hopkins now, and Emily Blunt. And basically, it is about a Victorian era actor named Lawrence Talbot that goes home because his brother disappeared and later found dead, and events unfold where, I mean, I don't think it's any surprise that he gets bitten, turns into a werewolf. But when the director for it, the original director, I thought I had it written down, but I don't see it now. But he left the film like a few weeks.
Mark Romanek.
Yeah. He left the film a few weeks before it started because he was trying to do this balance between popcorn Hollywood, because he wanted to do an homage to the original, but they also wanted to please the investors and then do something more artistic, because he did have real talent on this. And I mean, it's good, but is it great?
I feel like this is a waste of good talent. Because whereas the performances are good, right? I have yet to see. Well, I take that back. I have seen some things where Sir Anthony Hopkins just kind of, I don't say phoned it in, but didn't really give it the Sir Anthony Hopkins treatment.
I think he could read the side of a cereal box, and I would be like, "Yay!"
Beowulf, but the performances were good. It's just I don't. The movie itself, something just kind of felt flat.
There was a lot that went down. I mean, so when it comes to, like, you know, this is a remake. And it's also a trope that has been done a million times before and been done very, very well before.
Yep.
You get stuff like what was the
Wolf?
one? They're all wolf something. Werewolves London. You got American Werewolf in London. You know, you got 100 different.
Howling, yeah.
The Howling was fantastic.
Yep.
And then you bring in this kind of talent and you try to revamp something or reboot something that has been done very, very well before. And you've got Rick Baker on set doing visual effects and stuff. And it, just the production, the development, the filming of this, there was so much that went down. Like you said, there was issues with director, and I know they had to like go back and do a bunch of reshoots during filming, just to add stuff in, change the look. I know they budgeted at like $85 million at the beginning of this, and ended up bumping it up, I think, to $150, and then it flopped and only made like $142 million, like $142.6 million against the production budget of $150 million.
I mean, yeah. Just think about it this way: think about making a film, and the film pulls in over $100 million at the box office, and it's still considered a flop.
Right. Well, and I mean, it won an Academy Award for Best Makeup. You know, Rick Baker's on this. And Dave Elsey was on this, and they won an award for the Best Makeup. It wasn't bad. There was just so much. I think the whole thing it took. I think they started filming in 2008, and it didn't get released until 2010, which isn't uncommon. But there was so much. It should have been done quicker, and I think the cast got kind of wore out. Going back and having to do reshoots to change the way that the werewolf looked, and
well, they had every asset to make this a great movie, and I think the thing that killed it is the thing that kills a lot of them is they played it safe to please the executives and everything. Because I looked it up, I couldn't remember if this was part. They did Van Helsing with Hugh Jackman, and they were trying to launch a whole new Universal setup. They built out an area to have a unified, like, because Dark Universe now is in the same world, but this is going to be a more concentrated geographical area. And Van Helsing flopped, and I looked it up, and this wasn't a part of that. They could have taken this farther, and they just didn't. I think they were working too much in the shadow of the original. And
absolutely.
It was never going to be that, because Benicio del Toro is dead on, tall, dark, and handsome, like Lon Chaney Jr. But it turns out he really loves the Wolfman, and that's part of why they brought him in. But he has a somewhat Southwestern accent, and he killed it for this film. Like he brought that down to be more Victorian era American raised and everything, and it took every bit of inflection out of his voice. From the very first scene, he's got that going on, and you can tell, like you're saying, the reshoot's taken out. Emily Blunt she's phoning it in the very first scene, and you feel it here and there. I mean, it's just there's no emotion.
Everything, yeah. But everybody was wore out. I mean, the music. Danny Elfman was on this, and they wanted to rescore it because the music was too repetitive, and they cut the film down half an hour, and they wanted to rescore, but he couldn't because he was working on Alice in Wonderland at the time. And so they had to bring in like multiple people to do one job, and it's just like you said, phoning it in. There's
a lot of things that this movie should have been. This should have been not necessarily a success, but it should not have lost money. There were a lot of things that they did, like bringing in multiple people to do one job, like all the reshoots and whatnot to try and fill in holes. And it just seems like for a major Hollywood production that there were a lot of things they did. It seems like it was a lot of like amateur hour mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
Especially, for being, you're looking at the Lon Chaney Jr. original, you got to live up to that. And if you're not, when you try to take an original and you remake it, if you try too hard, you're going to be able to tell. Stick to the original script, not script, but, the original idea, stick to the original movie, just reprise the role and get it done instead of pushing to make it different.
It's like they didn't learn from the Jack Nicholson Wolf. Right, because that's what that was. Right, it was just a retelling of that, right. With the way he gets bit and the Indian, and I do mean Indian doctor who's warning him about becoming the wolf and whatnot, and all this stuff. And they looked at that. And why did that movie fail? Well, because it wasn't a good remake. And why wasn't it a good remake? Because they didn't take enough risk, and then the risks they did take were just bad. and they tried to play the whole Michelle Pfeiffer thing, and then this movie comes along and says, hey, let's do the exact same thing, only worse. Let's not plan it out properly. And this is what we get into when we talk about when you're doing a remake or a reboot. You kind of get into the point where you can only be as good as the original. Like that's the goal, to be as good as the original.
Right.
It'll never be better. It's never going to be better than the original Wolfman.
And then you're trying to remake a 1941 film. It's like
right.
You're trying to bring too much modern into something that's supposed to be old.
I think they could with this one, at least. There's some of them they could, but this one, if they took the original concept and somewhat the original plot line and then went where they couldn't take it back then because of limitations on special effects and stuff like that, and dug deep on that, I think people would appreciate the retelling in that way.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, you can't win with the fight between how close are you going to go to the original and how much are you going to experiment.
Right. And when you've got a movie that's a remake, you shouldn't have numerous alternate versions during post.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
There's one version, the original. Stick to it. Stop trying to make it totally different.
And here's the thing: if you're trying to get into you can make a werewolf movie without remaking Wolfman. We saw it with The Howling. We saw it with American Werewolf in London. We saw it with what was the other one? Help me out. Come on.
Which one are you talking about? 700 different movies.
50 billion of them.
Silver Bullet. We saw it. We have so many movies that
Curse of the Werewolf.
Right. There's so many movies that did the werewolf thing without saying, hey, we're just going to remake Wolfman. Because you don't need to. You don't need to remake Wolfman to make a good werewolf film.
And that's the one thing I did appreciate talking about practical special effects. There were some issues, but I did not want them to make a werewolf as we typically think of it. I wanted the Wolfman. I wanted very humanistic features, the body a little more morph, which they did. They bulked him out more and they brought his shoulders up so it was more dog-like. They said he's actually hairy enough that they didn't have to worry about putting too much hair on him. I'm like, okay. But I did like that they went with that. The one part that was disappointing, and they said this was because of all the changes leading up to it, is they didn't have time to plan for even a really good CGI transformation. It was okay, but there was no way they were ever going to be able to do a practical transformation. And I think this is the movie that should have done it, because doing one now and laying against the original would have been interesting.
It's just so hard to do a practical transformation when you've got the Jonathan Landis American Werewolf. It's just so hard because that is the bar when it comes to practical effects and transitioning from man to werewolf.
American Werewolf and The Howling were probably two of the best, for sure.
Yeah, both of those films. But really, when you think about it, everybody goes back to the iconic moment. The hand, and then the stretching of the hand, and the nose, the face, and the hair growing, the claws, and all that shit. The way that it was done was great.
Well,
that's the bar.
Everything's advanced so much more since then. Now they've got better materials, that are smaller, lighter. They can handle more, and I think they could top it now. Except they have put so little money into practical effects on movies. Horror movies are one of the few areas that get it a lot, and even they don't get that much of a budget, that the technique hasn't been able to advance with technology, I don't think. I think we can get it there. I think they do a great job.
You've got some companies that can do it, right? So Greg Nicotero's company does a great job when it comes to practical special effects. And I feel like his work really well when going from mixing both practical and CGI effects. There are a lot of things that are done, even like what he does with the work that he does with The Walking Dead. Whereas you can see that it's CGI. There's some things it still looks pretty good. It's pretty seamless going from practical to CGI and the way they blend it in together. But nowadays, it's just a hyper reliance on we'll just draw it in and whatever CGI, and you can't do that with horror films. People love practical effects. It's the hardest genre to get into that CGI genre is going to be the horror film, because people who love horror movies love practical effects. They always will. Even the newer up and coming yuppie motherfuckers who are getting into horror films, They'll start with something that's hyper CGI, and then they'll get some old fuckers like me and like, no, check this shit out. And like, that's so much fucking cooler. I remember people bitching at me about that whole Nightmare on Elm Street where Deb gets pulled through the door. Oh, that's that looks fake and blah blah blah. Yeah, but it works. It works because it's something that's real. That's tangible. You could actually go put your hands on that. Versus the bullshit they did in that 2010 remake.
Yeah, well, everything about that, like,
we don't talk about that. Sorry.
You really want to get into that one?
Yeah. No, I had such hopes, and they just were
You
dashed.
take something like, you take this movie, The Wolfman, which back in 1941, I believe was named like #1, werewolf movie for a long time. You got an American Werewolf one, you got the Holland, they're great. I think this one it's an original, it's classic. It's the first, one of the first werewolf movies that I've ever seen, and then you remake it and fuck it up, and then it's like,
well, they continue to fuck it up, and they don't learn from the remakes.
Yeah, I know Dark Universe is going to break my heart with the Creature from Black Lagoon when they make it. I'm gonna like it's just like,
I can't say that. It might be good.
We'll stay with The Shape of Water, and you just need to move on. Just skip that one. Like, I don't care what you do with anything else. Just skip the creature.
Leave it alone.
You killed it, you bastards.
So we are getting into that Dark Universe remake stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I still haven't touched The Mummy. I heard such bad reviews. I'm just like,
it was terrible.
My hours are limited.
Are you talking about the
phoning
Tom Cruise
shit
one?
in? Yeah. Russell Crowe. My goodness.
Oh.
My name is Russell Crowe, and I'm in this movie. Let me deliver my lines. Line delivered.
Stop! You're nailing a perfect Russell Crowe. Stop it! You're gonna put him out of a job, Johnny.
Maybe like he's just neutraled out since they put him on meds because it won't hit people with phones. But yeah, he has lost his luster.
The Dark Universe. What else we got coming up in that?
Dude, there's a whole list. I looked over it and I had no chance of memorizing it. The one thing that is cool though about the Wolfman is I'm watching it and that thing is jammed with Easter eggs. Like, I'm sure there's stuff I haven't even caught, but like, which they didn't have it in the theatrical version, but in the home version, Max von Sydow in the train, he gives him the cane, silver cane. And he tells it it's from, he got it in Gévaudan, France. Well, there's a series of incidents with the Wolf of Gévaudan where I forget how many people were killed by this thing or things that looked like it was about halfway between a wolf and a hyena with odd colors. And it was just picking people off when they were alone. And then the movie Le Pacte de Loup, Brotherhood of the Wolf, is actually based on that. It's in Gévaudan, France. And I'm like, okay, that's a cool link.
We could do that.
Yeah.
Talking about the Dark Universe, though, I just had to look into something real quick because I swear I had heard something about. I know we're supposed to ask the audience something about this, but they are talking about remaking the Wolfman, and they have now put one of the stars down. Guess who it is?
Please don't tell me Robert Pattinson or some fucking.
I mean, no, but you're not far off. Ryan Gosling.
I don't know.
Whereas I don't hate Ryan Gosling.
No, me either. I don't know if he's going to be.
I think he's a solid actor. I just don't think he's right for this role
for the Wolfman.
Yeah,
especially like a retelling of the original. Put him in the Jekyll and Hyde film they're talking about making, and
that would be actually really a good.
He played Schizo in one movie. What the fuck was it called? I can't remember.
Exactly. That's
yeah. Ryan, he's never one of those that's like bottom of the barrel, but I mean, he kind of never tops out either. Like, The Notebook was the big thing, and then he was all right in Blade Runner 2049, but he's not a.
Every time he's making a good point.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen anything like La La Land or anything, but I heard it was good.
Bullshit. You take your La La Land poster down every time right before you do the show. Don't lie. Oh, sorry.
Shit, he is going to be in Wolfman. It's in pre-production right now.
Uh,
It kind of kills the CTA on this one. So
Raising it up.
Road No Last Name says at least they didn't cast Ryan Reynolds. Now, here's the thing about Ryan Reynolds that he doesn't get the credit he's due. He is a much better actor than he gets credit for, right?
I enjoy that.
He gets lumped into the Deadpool role, which, like I said, Deadpool. I don't know if they could have casted any better.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking of. That was in a Schizo movie.
Well, that's where is it? Somebody they thought the Tom Cruise Mummy movie could kill Dark Universe, but the Invisible Man, that
you fucking invigorated
amazing new Invisible Man, was a part of it. So I think they're probably just gonna go from that, and they're just gonna be like, forget that one.
Just don't worry about the Mummy. Just start from here.
Yeah. The Mummy no longer exists.
They're gonna like Hulk it for the MCU, where they just drop the Norton version.
Yep.
Yeah. So they could do great. They could wreck it up. There's so many on there that you got to wonder when they're going to make that one that burns it down and they don't finish the list. That's just how I feel about it.
Well, so that's going to be our CTA, Dark Universe remake of The Wolfman. Yay or nay? Unfortunately, it's a yay with the wrong person in the role. And again, it's not because I think he's a bad actor. I just don't think he's right for the role.
Thinking about it, now that we've said that, I don't know. We've seen him do some
crazy
shit.
Yeah, we saw it with Heath Ledger and the Joker. So,
well, I mean, yeah, and you look at Ryan Reynolds, and I think he was in Murder by Numbers, which was by far one of my favorite movies growing up.
Ryan Gosling, yeah, it was with what's her name? She's so pretty.
Is that Halle Berry?
No, Halle Berry.
My mind's going blank. I can't
No,
remember.
Halle Berry was Numbers, I think.
Yeah, Sandra Bullock.
Yeah, that's
yeah.
There is a period of my life where my brain just stopped working, and there's a gap. It's right around the time I had kids.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Yeah. I'm still catching up on scary movies when they were younger, because it's like they're attached to you. You can't watch it.
You can't do anything. I got a fresh baby. It's like even
we're not supposed to watch these movies with our kids.
What?
Yeah.
Why not? I was watching something on my phone earlier, and one of the kids was like looking over my shoulder, and I was like, "Thank God I wasn't looking at anything weird," because I had no idea she was there watching it. She's like, "What is that?" I was, "Fuck, man, what?"
Yeah.
You were listening to audio file on my phone earlier, and it was talking about a girl that had gone on a date with a guy, and then it had the picture she had filed with the restraining order of him like just standing outside her window. But she heard the audio, and like I look over and she started crying. I'm like, "What's going on?" She's like, "Your phone." I'm like, Don't start spinning out on it. Let's go get a toy, get a puzzle, get something.
Forget about it.
Yeah, because I've told her before she's scared of monsters and ghosts. I'm like, I got 5 guns and nothing coming in this house.
I had to have that same talk with my kids. It was, what if somebody breaks in through the window? Like
they're going back out through it.
If they even make it through the window, they're not making it out of the house. So don't worry about it.
Oh no, they're getting out of the house all right.
Yeah, just not by themselves.
I told my daughter that I was like, when monsters can't sleep, I'm the thing in their closet.
Yeah, there you go.
So I tell my kids, look, kids, what's scarier? That monster in your head or daddy running down the hall naked?
True. Good night, Dad.
Good night, kids.
They still couldn't sleep, but for a completely different reason.
Never got out of bed again?
Yeah.
Just sits there and rocks.
That did not happen. I did not say that to my children. The letters are going to start coming in. Like, Johnny O says.
Johnny takes his pants off in front of kids.
Oh, my God. Why did you say that?
Oh, nobody cut that out, please. Don't.
Yeah, that's going to be clipped.
Anyways, but let's move to something. The reason why everybody's here.
The reason why.
And everybody has a fair fucking chance today because we have the reigning champ in our corner, and he is not allowed to say anything.
Yeah, we've handcuffed him. We've hamstringed him. I'm turning up his mic right now. There, now he can't say anything.
But our trivia question. Tonight's trivia prize is going to be a Week in Horror pint glass.
Yeah.
Still handing those out. I see Aaron is drinking out of his tonight, I think. Yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
That's
Who's that
perfect.
handsome guy in the middle?
That's me. No, I'm just kidding.
No, that's JL.
It's Jay. What? Oh, in the middle, top middle. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Awesome. All right. So if everybody's ready, I'm gonna lay this one down.
All right. Oh, let me pull up the. Okay, so I've got the live chat going, and first correct answer.
All right. Tonight's trivia question is: Director Lucky McKee frequently collaborated with what renowned author of horror fiction? One more time. Director Lucky McKee frequently collaborated with what renowned author of horror fiction? First one in the chat gets the glass.
Ooh.
Travis Brown already has one.
We could always use another one. Look.
I know, dude. If you're like me, I had a set of 4 glasses. I think I'm down to 1 because I just knock them off the fucking
Break them
table.
and shit, yeah.
Or they hit the dishwasher the wrong way. Or...
Well, that one I'm fairly careful about that one because they're not bad quality, but my dishwasher just strips stuff out.
Yeah. We've got a couple of answers in the side chat.
Dennis Wheatley, unfortunately, no.
Unfortunately, not. And it's not Stephen King.
Not Stephen King either.
Good guesses, though.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I do believe both worked with Lucky McKee.
Oh, doing some real research here.
People are out there like, oh, I got this. I want this mug. Clive Baker says, wrote no last name. Sparker, but yeah, I get where you're going. I get it. Still not correct. Is that Dashiell Hammett? Incorrect.
I'm actually looking something up about it because I forgot about this one.
Uh-oh, I don't know. I don't know if I can. Dean Koontz.
Yeah, it would be awesome if you broke my record, but I don't think we get the prize, honey.
Travis Brown.
What happened? I'm not even in there. What are we looking at?
Yeah, no, I given that there's a half a Pokemon reference, I'm gonna.
Yeah.
Jinju.
There we are.
Jinzu. Jesus Christ. Words. Got it. Jack Ketchum.
Yes.
Travis Brown, you're so close.
I see what you were doing, Travis Brown.
Yeah, got it there. There you go, Jack Ketchum.
Nice.
Angel says, repeat the question.
Sorry, Angel.
Yep. Anyway, it's Travis.
I was trying to
Jinju.
look up the last thing that they collaborated on. It looked like back in 2011 on The Woman, as far as I can tell. I could be totally wrong on that, though.
It happens. We've all been wrong.
Oh, I'm wrong 90%. I've been married for a while, man.
That just inherently makes us wrong.
Awesome. We will get that glass to you.
Yes. Make sure we have your. I think
Thanks
JL
for
has
saying.
your shipping.
I think he's
Pretty sure
won something
you've won some stuff before, so
If not, he's on the Discord. He should be able to let him know.
yeah, just hit up JL with your shipping details so we can get that Weekend Horror pint glass out to you, Jinju. I'm sure you've won before, so I think we've got it. But just in case, remind us. That way we can get that out to you just as quick as we can.
Yeah, so we can get the fucking supply chains moving. God damn it.
I started to say I've got the hoodie on.
There it is.
Take it off, but like, hold on. Oh, I'm getting myself backwards here. But the
There you go.
WIH logo on it in the back, and make sure on my headphones.
Hey, there you go.
Yeah.
And it's nice quality. My daughter, my 7-year-old, I was taking a picture of it, and she goes, "It's a zombie JL." I'm like, "Yeah, zombies JL."
Yep. Awesome. Good job. Thanks, guys.
All right. My God, it just seems like it seems like we should be going on for another 15 or 20 minutes, but we've actually been at this for an hour and 45.
I know. I was looking at the time and I was like, oh, yeah, look, we wrapped up right around 9. And
Yeah.
I forgot we started 15 minutes
15
late.
minutes. Yeah. We actually, you know what I mean? It was really awesome. I don't know how well it was going to work out. I was having some technical difficulties and then getting Aaron into the right room to make sure he had the scripts and whatnot. And I wasn't able to run the breakdown Sunday because I was on a plane. But yeah, I think Aaron did a great job.
Yeah, absolutely. for just getting tossed in here kind of last minute. You did great, man. Appreciate you showing up tonight. Really helped us out. Eugene's got a gig that he's working on right now, and JL is, driving safe so we can see him next week.
JL is granny driving from here to Oklahoma 15 miles an hour.
I can hear the ice just bouncing off the house right now. It's ridiculous. It's going to be nuts out there. So if you guys are out here in the South, if you got to go somewhere tomorrow, drive fucking safe. Just get there. Last year we had 100-car pile up right down the road from our house. So
yeah,
we're just supposed to get rain. We're at the edge of it. I'm glad. I'm sick of the snow.
The bitch of it is, I just left Virginia, and it was nice cold, right?
Oh, was it cold up there?
It was cold. It snowed before I got in, but the snow they had the streets and whatnot taken care of. There was a couple little patchy places here and there, but like I said, it was good. And Virginia, I think this weekend they're going to be in the 60s and 70s, whereas we're going to be.
It was 70 degrees a couple days ago. I built a fence this weekend. It was 70 every day this weekend.
Yep. I'm telling you, it's crazy. Weather in Texas, man, you gotta love it.
It happens every year, and
every year
surprised about it.
Right around this time.
Yeah, it's always February.
10 years ago, we moved to Arizona from North Carolina, and our heater busted on the car.
Oof.
And we're going down, and we're like, okay, cool. We're going south. It'll get warmer. Cold front followed us all the way through Texas. Like,
yeah.
I'm like, oh, I'm not looking forward to driving the desert, but I was so happy when we broke into the desert. Like, my daughter, we had my socks. She kept taking her gloves off, so we put my socks on her arms. And she's sitting there looking like she's got casts on her arms. So everybody at every gas station is like, what did you do to that child?
Charlie Welsh says there's a complete whiteout. Yeah, my goodness. Yeah, but
about that time.
Yep, it is what it is. Yeah. Anywho, we're done. We're done. My goodness.
Thanks for coming, guys.
Yeah, absolutely. And that brings another episode of the Week in Horror to a close. Thank you all so much for listening, and we truly hope you enjoyed the show. Join us next week when we look back at horror comedy Monster Man, the inventive sequel Happy Death Day to You, the Lovecraft adaptation of Chill, and the strange and unnecessary sequel The Mangler 2. I don't think any truer words have been spoken. We'd like to send a special shout out to all of our amazing patrons who continue to help us make the Week in Horror the incredible success it has become. Thank you all so much. Also, be sure to stop by Josh Olsen's store, www.badsamurai.store. He does all of our amazing artwork for the show, and his designs are incredible. For more horror fun, be sure to follow us on all the socials where you get the daily splatter right into your feeds in the digital darkness, our new gaming channel hosted by Alien X Gaming. Please comment, like, subscribe, smash the bell as if you're someone's number one fan for all the latest updates from the show. Huh? No hobbling? Okay, fine. Those interactions really help us to appease the insatiable hunger of our dark god algorithm.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun. And lastly, if you love what we do here and like and are able to support our production, you can do so through Patreon. We have tiers as low as $1 a month, less than 1 cup of coffee. That's lower than a UA Bowl. Should have read this before because it's funny. That's lower than UA Bowl will sink to make a horror movie. Higher tiers get early and special After Dark access, bonus content, monthly horror movies, and can even join us as special judges in our bloodbath debates. Aaron's actually done that once or twice.
Yeah, it's fun passing judgment on you guys. It's
really
it's a highlight of my month.
But if Patron is not your modus operandi, you can always support us directly through our PayPal. Links to everything, including our Discord community, where you can find film recommendations, trailers, trivia games, horror watch parties, and even interact directly with us, are in the description. As always, sharing this show with the fans in your local horror community is the absolute best way to help us further our goals of global horror domination. Thank you all for being the greatest audience a podcast could have. I'm Johnny O.
I'm Alex.
And I'm Aaron, and I'm going to plug my YouTube channel at Media Macabre, media space MACABRE. And first longer format video should be out this next week.
Sweet.
Awesome.
We'll see you next week. And as always, stay scared.
Bye-bye.